All right. Hello there. How's it going beyond the screen? Thanks for joining the 6 p.m. class. I'm just bringing all my props together here. The props that we will need for this class, if you have them, preferably would be at least one block. If we have two, sure, go ahead and bring it. A strap, if you have a strap. And I would recommend grabbing a blanket for yourself, possibly a small cushion. And if you have it, a pillow. I got my big pillow over here. This is a Yin Yoga class. So with this class, we are going to prop up as much as we can. That will make the asanas a better experience for us, since we are going to hold the postures for a few minutes at a time. So again, as we have others joining the class, a strap if you have it, block, bring like a little small cushion or pillow, as well as bring a big pillow. Essentially what the big pillow is going to act like is just a bigger bolster. So if you have your own yoga bolster at home, then go ahead and use that. Whatever you got to bring to the table. And a blanket for some additional comfort. So as we go ahead and take a few moments to get ready here, I'm going to go ahead and set up our music. Good, we got the music going. And then, and I'm just going to go ahead and wait another minute because I see that there are still people joining the class. Enough time to get them set up on the live stream. So also if you, I would grab some water so that you can be hydrated as we go through our practices. Hey Jay, could you hand me my water? See, I knew it. I know. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and begin. And for the beginning of class, I would go ahead and grab a block to start. And with our block, we are just essentially going to go ahead and sit up on the block. And for our grounding position today, we're going to start in a child's pose. And so throughout the majority of our yin class today, we are going to incorporate the block into our practice. I wanted to work with a lot of our asanas this week, working with and being more familiar with our props. For the other classes, my morning classes and my night classes, we use the blocks more for a tool for working out. And today we're going to utilize it as much as we can to digest deeper into our asanas here. So you can go ahead and start to sit onto the block and maybe have your knees spread apart. If it's more comfortable, you can place a blanket underneath your knees too to add additional comfort. Good. And this is where either a second block or possibly a cushion could come into place. You could take the pillow or the other block towards the front of the mat. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and gently walk ourselves into a child's pose position. You're more than welcome to meet your head onto your block or onto your small cushion here, facing your palms towards the ceiling to help make this less of a forceful pose and more passive. And allowing yourself to take deep inhalations, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Yeah. And so then as you are here into your grounding position, connecting with your breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. I encourage you to think of the definition of strength and all the different variations and definitions that can come across from just that one word. Because some of us, when we think of strength, we think of possibly something physically strong, maybe even stoic. But strength can come from an attitude, can come from emotion. Strength can also come from your creativity or your own personal growth. Strength can be found more on an intellectual level, just as much as it can be found in your physical body. As well as strength can be present into your spiritual sense. Maybe finding strength in your own religion or anything that can guide you of that sorts. Maybe on your path to enlightenment, if that is what you choose to practice yoga for, in relation to spirituality and of self-growth. And so today when we focus on strength into our yin practice, to allow yourself to persevere, allow yourself to create strength in the understanding of your anatomy and what works for yourself here. Good. And just bringing that strength into your intellect, knowing what is or is not serving you, and to make those adjustments for yourself. We use strength a lot this week to work with our lower core and our hips to become more toned, to become more strong, maybe even bring more flexibility. So today we're just going to digest and decompress the body and stretch out what we worked out. Yeah. So on the next breath into your child's pose, taking a deep inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And from here, you can go ahead and set an intention for your practice before we start moving. So you go ahead and flip your palms to the ground, and we're going to inhale, rise up with our chest, and we're just going to walk on over towards the right side of the room. Possibly bring your cushion, if you would like to have that cushion underneath your skull. You can also bring that block. Good. And taking a few moments of breath into the side body, lengthening through the left side as well as the right side. And you can choose to stay here and soft into your stretch, but if you would like to make it a little more intense or deep for yourself, all you have to do is just little by little after each exhalation, just guide yourself more to the right side. But we do want to make sure that when we do make our way over towards the right side, that we are getting long into the arms and especially being long into the spine so that it has room to find that bend and it's not just being closed off into the right ribs. We still want to find that extension there. And you can allow your forearms to come to the floor. They don't have to be like active, stretched out. But we just want to find that length in the arms so that we're not collapsing into our shoulders. We're just going to stay here for another 30 seconds. You can go ahead and take your final breath. Deep inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And you can go ahead and start to walk into the center of the mat. Just slide your block or pillow with you and just stay here for 2 breaths to allow your spine to realign. And then after those couple breaths, you can go ahead and guide your resting prop to the left side and start to bring your body over towards the left as well. And again, allow yourself to find this length here. And you can allow your forearms to be soft just as long as your arms are extended not only forward, but extended over towards the left side. Taking those deep inhalations in through the nose and out through the nose. And maybe guiding your tailbone a little active towards the back of the room. Your chest towards the front and left. If you're feeling anything that's tense into your body, just allow yourself to adjust yourself so that when you ease into the pose, you ease into it without any tension. And then from here, we have 30 more seconds. Taking your final breath, inhaling through the nose and out the mouth. Lifting up through the chest and very gently walking yourself back into that child's pose. Just staying here for about 2 breaths. Reset the spine. Good. And then you can very slowly come up off of your block. Good. Then swing your legs forward very gently, just rocking them side to side, going through those windshield wipes. And as you are here, you can grab a blanket if you would like. Turn on my space heater because it gets cold in here. No, space heater in April. What the heck? All right. So with your blanket, you're going to go ahead and lie it onto your mat. And we do want to have it at the thinnest fold that we can get. Good. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our block and make sure that we have a strap nearby. Good. If you have a smaller cushion, you can use it as a pillow. We just don't want anything that's too bulky, that's going to lift up strenuously throughout the neck. Good. Just something to keep that natural curve. And with the block, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place it underneath our sacrum here. Good. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the strap. And if you do have a second block nearby, just go ahead and just make sure that it's just by the mat within reach. Okay. And so from here, just for a couple breaths, we're going to extend our legs, each ankle towards the corner of the mat, kind of coming into a corpse pose. Not going to stay here for too long, but just enough so that we can decompress a little bit into the lower sacrum, and you can have the block at any appropriate height. You can have it at the flat setting. If you wanted it to be at your at the side to add a little height to it, if that feels comfortable for you, you are more than welcome to do that. Just do whatever feels comfortable and nothing that feels very forcive. And making sure that when you're putting the block onto your sacrum, that we are putting it onto that square pelvic area and not on your actual spine. We're going to continue to find our breaths. We're not going to hold this asana for too long here. And you can adjust the height at any time. Taking your final 3 breaths here. So then after your 3 breaths, you can go ahead and with the left foot, place the left sole of the foot onto the mat. And then from here, we're going to bend the right knee in towards our chest. And if this feels comfortable here, you can keep this asana where it's at, or if you wanted to, you can extend the left leg towards the front of the mat. Whatever feels the best for you here. And then as you guide that right knee towards your chest, maybe just guiding it a little bit towards the right shoulder here so we can get a little bit of an opening into the hip. And if your heel is extended, making sure that the heel is solid and pressed into the mat or the bottom of the foot. So we can guide the knee a little closer, as well as keeping yourself a little stable. If you wanted to find some soothing ankle rolls here, you can go ahead and do so. I know for my Tuesday classes, as well as my morning Thursday, we worked with strengthening and conditioning our ankle through some of our core workouts. So this is a great time to get some of that restoration here. Just for a couple more breaths. Okay. And then our strap should be nearby. So go ahead and grab your strap, and you're going to place the strap around your ankle bone here. And then as it's onto the ankle bone, Keeping your shoulders on towards the mat, we're going to go ahead and inhale. Extend the right leg towards the ceiling. Find that quad engagement. Making sure that the right quad is flexed and that the toes are pointed towards her face here. You can keep that left leg extended towards the front of the mat. If you wanted to bend at the knee and place the left foot to the mat, that's also an option here. And that does allow you to move a little bit more into the right hip socket. And if you feel like you want to get more oomph back into that stretch, making it a little bit more intense, and then you can go ahead, find that hip hinge that works best for you. Bring in the knee and the thigh closer towards your chest, and then you can slowly start to extend throughout the left leg. And then as you are guiding the leg towards you, you can also very gently press the ankle into the strap and act as if you're trying to guide that right hip down into the block or towards the mat here. We're gonna stay here for just about another minute. And if you wanted to kind of play along with the movement, one thing you can do is you can press your heel into the strap and hold your breath for 5 seconds. And after the 5 seconds, you can release the breath and guide the leg closer to your body. That is another way to deepen your stretch here. You go ahead and take your final breath. Inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Just very softly bend the knee. We don't want to bend it a lot. Just a very soft bend. And then with the left foot, you're going to place the sole again onto the mat. And then very gently, you're going to straighten out through the right leg. Bring your left arm to cactus or to T, or maybe place the hand by your hip. We're just going to very gently guide the right leg towards the right side of the room. And with the left knee, we're going to open up towards the left side here. Good. So it's almost as if the left leg is at a butterfly position. We're at the outer edge of our left foot, and then left knee is opening up towards the left side. And then we're holding on to the strap, guiding the right leg towards the right side of the room. And you can keep it towards the right side. If you wanted to attempt grabbing onto your toe, you can go ahead and do so. But just holding the strap onto your ankle is good enough for this pose to just very gently open up through the hip and open up through the hamstrings. Having the left foot root and support us onto our block. Taking those deep inhalations in through the nose, out through the nose. Breathing more by your stomach to help keep us stable and work with our diaphragm to breathe. Holding this asana for another minute here. From here, we're going to take our final 3 breaths. And then with the last breath, we're going to inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, soften through the knee, and very gently guide the right leg back up towards the ceiling. Good. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and straighten out through the left leg and just very gently guide the right leg towards the left side of the room. And bringing our right arm to the T. And we don't want to go so much into where we have this giant spinal twist. We just want enough so that we can stretch out through the outside of our glute, the IT band. Using our left leg to keep us stable here. Keep flexing through the right foot. And we're not going to stay here as long. We're just going to stay here for another minute. Good. So as your right foot is going towards the right side, maybe having a grounding sensation into the right hip, or maybe even having your right hand onto the right hip to help keep it down. You go ahead and start to take your final 3 breaths. Final breath being in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. Very gently guide the right leg back up. Good. Bend at the left knee. And then we're going to very gently place the left foot into the strap in replacement of the right. And then drop our right foot towards the mat. So now the strap, our left foot is into the strap. We're going to go ahead, press the right foot into the mat and inhale, rise, left leg towards the ceiling. And we're going to hold on to the strap here. And you can find whatever feels comfortable for your hip hinge. And you can choose to keep your right foot onto the mat if you want this little restorative, and you'll still get restorative properties if you straighten out through the leg. It's just going to be a little more of a challenge. Finding that quad engagement, the lift through the kneecap, that helps us hinge more through the hips than it does putting strain onto our lower spine. And to also know if the block underneath isn't serving you, you are more than welcome to go ahead and remove it. This is just a recommendation for today's class to give you a little boost into our pelvic area and to just kind of decompress the lower spine, since we use a lot of our lower region for this week's workouts and yoga flows. So merely it's more of a suggestion. So don't feel like if it's not serving you that you have to keep it underneath. Good. Staying here for another minute. Be nice and gentle in with the breath. And if your leg is extended, finding that engagement in your quads as well as into the right heel, pressing into the mat. You also have the option of deepening your stretch by pressing your ankle 30% into the strap for 5 breaths, holding. And then you can exhale, release, guide the leg closer towards your chest. And you can rinse and repeat. And so if you've just practiced that, you can go ahead and use that for later practices. But for now, we're going to take our final breath. Inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. And then as we start to bend through the right leg, we're going to go ahead and open up the left leg to the left side. Got the wall here. And then with the right knee, we're going to open it up like we would in butterfly pose and just kind of go onto the outer edge of the right foot just so that we can keep ourselves a little balanced here onto the block. If you wanted to straighten out through the leg, you can. I just think it's more comfortable having our knee bent. Good. Now I'm kind of cheating here because I'm a little close to the wall. But you can, if you need to, you can move your mat towards a wall. If this assists you better, if this gives you a little more stability. Using our wall is a very awesome tool to find stability as we go deep into our stretches. So hope that encourages you for future practices to monkey around a little bit in an open space. I'm just going to stay here for another minute. Again, inviting that breath in towards the lower stomach. Go ahead and take your final 3 breaths here. With the final breath, taking a deep inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. I'm going to very gently guide that leg back up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to straighten out through the right leg. Bring the strap to your right arm, left arm to the T. Root through the left, or you could actually instead take the left hand onto the left hip, root the hip down, and we're just guiding the left foot a little more towards the right side of the room. And with this one, we're not going to stay too long. So go ahead and find that position that feels the best for you here. We're going to go ahead and stay here for a minute. Making sure that that hip stays grounded as much as we can. Go ahead and start to invite your final 3 breaths. With the final breath, inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. Very gently guide the right leg, left leg back up towards the ceiling, and then straighten through the right leg. And from here, we can go ahead and remove the strap, keeping our feet up towards the ceiling. And I said that if you had another block nearby, you can take that block and place it onto your feet here. Good. And it's just nice and wide. And then you can go ahead and straighten back out into that staff pose. And really, the purpose of using this block here is to encourage you to find balance within your legs. So keeping them both straight, keeping them both active, the toes both active. And if you start to soften through your knees, or if they start to bend, your block's going to go all over the place. So this is just a way to encourage us to keep our alignment. And not only to keep the alignment, but just to keep our concentration as well. So making our awareness more present here onto the mat. We always say, stay into the present moment, and over time it kind of becomes a little bit of a generic term if we aren't actually incorporating or thinking about the awareness processes that come into staying present. And if you wanted to stretch out more through the spine, if you wanted to, you could bring the toes a little closer to your body, if that's what feels good for your hip hinge. So you can either stay into the staff pose, or you can bring the thighs a little closer. Yeah, it's whatever feels the best for this inverted staff pose. And then wherever you're at, we're going to go ahead and stay here for just about 30 more seconds. If you wanted a little challenge in that awareness, if you do have a block onto your feet, you can very slowly engage to the core and guide the block underneath off of your spine. Encourage your tailbone to meet towards the mat, block still on your feet, and just bend at the knees, keeping that block up, and then scoop it. There we go. And so then for our next asana, let's go ahead, hug the knees in, just rock side to side. And after we rock side to side, do 3 rocks, coming to the top of your mat, keeping your toes pointed and flexed, using your core for the movement. And then we're going to come onto all fours. I would walk back to your blanket and use that as knee support here. We're going to thread the needle a little bit, kind of massage our organs, allow us to get a little deeper into our side body in these twists. So pointing your toes together and spreading your knees apart so we can work more through the hips. If you have that small cushion that you can use for your head, not enough to lift up through your head or the neck, but just to kind of mold into the curve, you're more than welcome to use that. I just think block is a little uncomfortable as we thread the needle here. So if you have a comfortable cushion, go ahead. But we're going to thread the needle by rising to the left arm, and then we're going to thread the needle, placing the head on a possible cushion if you have it. Even the tailbone up towards the sky. And if you want this to be restorative, you can just allow your right forearm to lie by your face, nice and gentle. If you're looking for more of a stretch, you can activate the right arm and bring it towards the front of the mat. And you can also extend your right arm to the front of the mat and still have your forearm down if you still wanted it to be a little bit more relaxing. Or if you wish, you can take your right hand and place it behind your back as if you're trying to grab onto your left thigh. And if you can, cool. But you can utilize this to Encourage you to get a little deeper into your twist. Deepening through the breath and having your tailbone active towards the sky. All right, I'll go ahead and stay here for just another minute. From here, go ahead and bring in your final 3 breaths. And with the 3rd breath, inhaling through the nose and out the mouth. And then you can place your right hand back in front of your face and then inhale. Bring your left arm in alignment with your right. And going on the opposite side, rise through your right arm and very gently thread the needle, possibly placing your head on a cushion if you have it. Good. But the same aspect onto the left side. You can either keep your right arm towards the front of the mat, extending through the arm, maybe the forearm makes the mat, or even behind the spine if you're looking to deepen through your twist. Making the connection of your tailbone towards the sky. Then allowing some exploration after each exhale to dive deeper into your twist. Or maybe even deeper in your asana as a whole, possibly through your mental state, whatever deep means for you. We're just going to stay here for one more minute. We're going to go ahead and take our final 3 breaths. Last one. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And then after that 3rd breath, we can then go ahead and inhale, come back onto all fours here. Very gently bring the knees in. Come into a tabletop position for 2 breaths. Good. Then inhale, rise through your chest and tailbone like you would in cow, or coming into cow, I should say. And then exhale, round through the shoulders into cat, chin the chest, and stay here for 2 breaths. Good. And then go ahead and come back into a normal tabletop position. And then at this time, you can remove the blanket from your knees and kind of fold it in half and place the blanket onto the right side of your mat. Good. As well, bring the cushion towards the right side and then bring the block towards the front of the mat. We're getting our prop set up for pigeon pose here. Good. So then as you come into a plank position, bring a little strength into here. You're going to go ahead and take the right knee, place the right knee to the outside of the right elbow, and then take the right foot to the outside of the left wrist, aligning your shin towards, like from the top of the mat. But if that's too tight, that's totally fine. It's just a guide. And you can allow your hip to either rest on top of a blanket, and you can fold the blanket for the dead space, or use a cushion. And if you are using a cushion instead of a blanket, then I would recommend placing the blanket instead onto the left side so that the left leg can have a little comfort here as well. Good. So you get the left leg that's cushioned and your right hip cushioned. Good. Extending the left leg back, coming into your pigeon pose, but we're going to come into a forward pigeon pose, so sleeping pigeon. So once you find a straight spine, guiding the right hip onto the blanket or cushion, take about 2 breaths. And then after those 2 breaths, you can slowly start to walk yourself forward here, getting deeper into the hip. And if you want, and the block is here to use as a guide. So if you need to place your head on top of the block, and you can go ahead and do so. And if you don't have a block, you can also stack your fists on top of each other instead. And if you're wondering what you can do with your arms while your head is resting on a prop, if you have one, you can just allow your arms to come forward and take the palms facing towards the ceiling. Bring the breath into your stomach, releasing any tension into your thigh, or releasing tension from your thigh. You can go ahead and start to count to your final 3 breaths. Final breath, deep inhale through the nose. And then out through the mouth. Very slowly start to straighten out through the arms, lift up through the chest. Good. And then you're just going to come onto your right hip and gently switch your left leg forward. Good. Kindly coming off onto your cushion. So if you were using a cushion, bring the cushion to the left side and then the blanket to the left. If you did not have a cushion, then you can just bring the blanket then instead to the left. Okay. But I have a blanket, and so I am placing my blanket onto the right side. Not really to protect my knee, it's just for some comfort to make it feel more restorative. And then I have a cushion, so I'm going to bring that cushion to my left side. Prop still staying in front, and I'm going to come back into my plank position. And then in the plank position, I'm going to bend my left knee towards my left elbow, and then guide the left foot behind the right wrist, and then send my right knee back, dropping it onto the blanket, assisting a cushion underneath my left hip here. Good. So just checking that my back leg is straight and that my hip crease rotated down, internally rotated. And once I got my checkpoints, I'm going to come into a straighter spine here, engaging through the chest, lifting up for a couple breaths, pressing my right toe into the ground. And after a couple breaths, I'm going to very gently start to walk myself forward into my sleeping pigeon and use my block for support for my head and neck. And then I'm going to have my palms facing towards the ceiling. So if you don't have props of your own, you can then instead just maybe stack your fists and allow your head to rest onto your fists. I'm going to go ahead and take our final 3 breaths. Last breath, inhaling through the nose, out through the mouth. Go ahead and straighten up through the arms, and then just very gently roll the right knee out so that you can come on top of your cushion. Good. And then bring in the right leg forward. If you have your small cushion, you can place it towards the top of the mat here. Good. And then a blanket if you wanted to lie your spine on the blanket. Coming to the end of class here. So at the end of class, we're going to go ahead and come into a bridge pose just to kind of allow ourselves to leave with an opening with our spine. So bring in the feet close to the glutes, hand press into the ground. Or if you wanted to stretch the arms, you could bring the arms above overhead. And then from here, you could go ahead and inhale, hike the hips up towards the ceiling. If it feels a little better, you could walk the feet a little forward if you would like a little more room. Go ahead and take 5 more breaths. If you wanted to guide yourself into a deeper back bend, that's what I'm doing for myself. I'm just putting my hands up to the sacrum and lifting them higher. Because I want that. Once you reach your 5th breath, inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. Very gently bringing the hips back to the mat. For our final stretch of the night, point your toes to the front of the mat. You can take a deep inhale, the deepest inhale of the night, bringing your arms above your head. Point your toes to the front of the mat, long body stretch. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. You can place your hands wherever is comfortable for the next few moments in Shavasana. And as we lie here in our Shavasana, just want to read a little poem from The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. That all that is gold does not glitter, that not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong, it does not wither, and the deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes a fire shall be woken, and a light the shadows fall shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken, the crownless again shall be king. So as we begin to find micro movements from our toes and our ankles, and our fingers and our wrists, You are welcome to stay here in your Shavasana for a longer time. But if you're ready to be awakened, you can take your arms above your head and guide your knees towards your chest. Letting it out with a cleansing breath. You can choose to guide your knees to the left or right side. And very slowly come to a comfortable seated position. Then as you make your way to a seated position, or if you're staying in your Shavasana, just meet your palms to the heart center. And take a bow for yourself and thanking yourself and everybody else that is sharing this virtual space with you tonight. And to allow peace and health to guide you throughout your days. And namaste. You are more than welcome to stick around and join the 7 p.m. class if you would like. That's going to start in just about a minute here. And I believe you may have to exit the screen and go into the proper link. But if not, I hope that you all take care for the rest of your night. And thank you so much for taking a Adventure Rock online course. I will see you in a minute. Alrighty. And you're welcome, Celeste. Bye.